Hello everyone, it's Davide here and welcome back to Learning Finance. In today's video guys, I'm gonna do an update on Square stock, so ticker symbol SQ. Square, which is a stock that if you follow my channel, you know that I am invested in since basically July 2020 when it was around $100 per share. I'm still holding the stock, I continue to do updates. In my previous video, the stock was around $200. I told you how it was an interesting price if you wanted eventually to jump in and buy the stock. At the moment, the stock is around $246 per share. It seems that we are in the pullback phase, so we are gonna take a look where the stock is, where can it go, the valuation, okay, all these kind of updates that we usually do on stocks that I follow. And then I will also tell you something about Square's master plan, okay, because sometimes I got comments asking me what is the Square moat from lots of older competitors, because we have, for example, Visa, MasterCard, okay, in the payment business, but also PayPal and all this kind of stuff. So the only thing I ask you guys is please leave me an early like, it's very important and I thank you for it. And subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new updates. Let's begin. Alright guys, so for the valuation, one thing, as we are gonna go through earnings coming in May, an important thing is to see is the transaction-based revenue and the subscription-based revenue, if considering that the US has now been gradually reopening the economy. I do not expect crazy stuff, but I want to see these parts of the business slightly taking off again, okay? So at least a little bit of a hint of positivity coming on in 2021. I told you many times how these two parts of the business are the key of Square. It's where Square really makes the money. And here obviously also the stimulus packages, okay, that huge amount of cash given by the government is gonna help Square going on. You know, if you give cash to people, sooner or later they will spend it. Obviously it's a positive sign. Then for the valuation guys, in my opinion the fair price of the stock is near 232, basically $233 per share, okay? Nothing has really changed, and we have seen that the stock actually skyrocketed since $200 in the previous video. It went up to almost all-time highs, okay, and now it's obviously pulling back a bit, so I'm not surprised to actually see a little bit of Square stock price calming down. Now for this long-term valuation, actually, in my opinion, this is something achievable without any problems. I have been quite conservative with the EBITDA margins and also with EBITDA multiple, because if we see the comparables, we have that they are trading higher, okay? Now, the main reason is that their business as of now is more efficient in terms of margins, but we don't know if Square going on will be able to scale, and probably it will. But by the way, you know that when I do calculations and valuations, I like to be conservative. By the way, as we can see from here, for example, PayPal, they have a 30% EBITDA margin, okay? So, and here in 2028 for Square, I just put 18%, 40%, 45% less of what PayPal is doing. Now, here is obviously because as of now, Square has low margins due mainly to the Bitcoin business. But going on in the future, as they scale, as they increase both the Cash App ecosystem and the seller ecosystem, well, they will be able to scale. And this is the fair price that I have with 18% EBITDA margin. But let's say that, for example, just to make you understand what I mean by that, instead of 18%, let's just put 24, okay? Now remember that PayPal does more than 30%, so this is still way below PayPal. But you see that by leaving everything exactly the same, we have a fair price today of above $300, okay? So if the business will scale properly, obviously the fair price, it goes higher. The valuation that I have today, I mean, I don't want to be exaggerated with stuff, so 18% in my opinion is something achievable, but Square stock actually can surprise us on that side. Now, if you want to see graphically, actually it's probably easier to understand. We see that here I put the fair price, this green line over there, around the $232, $235 per share level. In the previous video, we were back here. I told you, look, I hope that Square, maybe, because the market was kind of crazy back then, maybe we have a spike down below the 200 level, maybe touching the 200 moving average, which usually sometimes stocks, they do it, okay? They touch the 200 MA and then they bounce back. I told you that would have been obviously a nice buy opportunity, but it pushed back out of this downtrend. And now we see that it went very near the all-time highs at 283. Now it's pulling back. It has just bounced back from the 50 moving average we see over there. Now we have also the Fibonacci retracement 0.618, which is very, very near to actually the fair price. As we can see, is around $231 per share over there. Now this, in technical analysis, is another important level for pullbacks, okay? Usually the pullbacks are between 0.5 and 0.618 levels over there, where we have also the fair price between them. So this is an area where actually Square stock is not something strange to see it. It was strange actually if it was gonna continue to rise vertically like that, because the stock market on average, the stocks tend to go up and down between the fair price, right? We see, for example, in Square stock, if we go back here, it was December, okay? Basically since December the stock didn't do anything. Why? Well, simple as that. If you have the fair price around 230, there is no sense for the stock to go to 400, right? And obviously, if you have days of market craziness and if you're able to buy way below that, well, then it's where you have bargains. Now, why is Square different from competitors, and what is like the master plan for Square? Okay, so what differentiates Square? And this is a question that most of the times I get it in comments. And so, in my opinion, to understand the Square's master plan, we have to understand that stuff like Visa, MasterCard, and sometimes even PayPal, those are usually what's called the middlemen. They are those businesses that they stay in between transactions and they get fees. Now, what is the problem? The problem is that as of now, Square, because they don't have yet an ecosystem big enough, they have to rely on, for example, Visa transactions, MasterCard transactions, and also other banks involved in the transactions, okay? So where you transfer money from a bank to another, okay, where Square is involved as well. But the fact is that all those guys in between, they take fees. So on average, what you have is a fees which for sellers is now around 2.6%, and sometimes even 3%. Now you understand that this overall at the end of the year for a business in the total amount of sales is a lot of money, okay? Now, where is Square master plan, and why lots of people are saying that Square can be or has the potential to disrupt all those middlemen? It's because they're trying to build an ecosystem where basically to do transactions and to do everything you need to do with your money, you do not have the need to go outside the Square ecosystem. So you have on one side the Cash App, and on the other side you have the seller ecosystem. So the Square terminal, as they work with businesses and stuff. Now their master plan will be to being able to grow this ecosystem big enough that when you go to buy something, you have that the shop has Square terminal and you pay with Cash App. Now you understand that at that point there is no more a need of a middleman like Visa, all this kind of stuff. It's everything inside the Square ecosystem. Now, if they're able to do that, first of all, MasterCard, Visa, all this kind of stuff will lose a lot of business, and they will be able also to cut down the fees dramatically, because Square, as of now, Square itself takes just around 1% of the 3% fees charged. The other 2% is split between Visa, MasterCard, and banks, right? But if you don't need those people anymore, well, then Square can push the fees just near the 1% that he already takes, and you understand how significantly this could actually have an impact on the payment business overall. So it's all about, will they be able to grow their ecosystem big enough in order to actually being able to do that and reduce the middleman business out there or not. Basically, if you buy Square, this is the master plan, actually the biggest master plan, and interestingly enough, they have actually opened also a physical bank out there. So that obviously is going to help them, especially with small loans to businesses, because, for example, compared to a normal bank, most of the times they don't want to fund those small loans to small businesses, or when they do, they need to do lots of research and stuff that at the end is gonna cost more, okay? While Square, if you already use Square Terminal in your business, Square will already know a lot of stuff of what you're doing, so they don't need to go through all that screening process and research. The major risk for Square now is regulations, because Square is continuing to grow, and we have seen, for example, in Jamie Dimon's letter from JP Morgan, he was basically arguing how the fintech business, they're not as regulated as banks are after 2008, so that they actually have a stronger position in terms of competition due to regulations as well. So we will see how going on in the future the US regulators will approach fintech. But as of now, Square has actually the potential to, I don't say completely disrupt, but at least to take a big piece of the cake in that payment transactions business. Okay, so that's why I continue to like Square. That's why I will continue to hold the stock. Obviously, they have also a huge bet on crypto, so I will obviously continue to follow the stock and give you updates. I hope you find the video interesting, guys, and leave me a comment below actually with what do you think about Square stock. Do you like it or not at this price? Subscribe to the channel if you want, and as always, guys, have a wonderful day.